Imagine pulling a stack of mail from your physical mailbox. You are sorting through it, and you see an envelope with that official cross-hatched security pattern on the inside.
Oh, yeah, the pattern that makes it look like it came straight from the IRS or a bank.
Right, exactly. And through the little cellophane window, you clearly see the words "paid to the order of," followed by your actual name.
Which is a brilliant little trick.
It really is. I mean, your heart rate spikes for a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
You tear it open, expecting a tax refund or a rebate, only to realize you have just been tricked into reading a solicitation for life insurance.
Which is such a letdown.
It is. You might feel manipulated in that moment, but that exact same psychological trap, that deliberate bypass of your critical thinking, is being used on you right now every single time you scroll through a social media feed.
Yeah, the mechanism of exploiting our pattern recognition, it is entirely medium agnostic. We often assume that because the technology changes, like moving from paper to smartphones, the underlying human vulnerabilities change with it. But the architecture of persuasion remains incredibly static.
Which brings us to the core of today's deep dive. We are looking at the science and really the art of capturing consumer attention and engineering immediate action.
It is a fascinating process to reverse engineer.
Definitely. And we are pulling from a really interesting stack of sources today. To do that, we have a lecture transcript from a Dr. Anthony Bullard, who teaches a MAR 630 marketing class at Centurion International University.
And that is a relatively new institution, right? It's established in 2024, I believe.
Yeah, exactly, 2024. We are pairing his lecture with a textbook slide deck on creative advertising strategy, specifically focused on Chapter 11, which covers direct marketing. And finally, to see how all this theory actually survives in the wild, we have a comprehensive masterclass level university assignment by a student named Jairo Cruz for a brand called Hacienda El Maguey.
Bringing these specific sources together is great because it allows us to trace this evolutionary through line.
Right, from the mailbox to the digital feed.
Exactly. We can look at the raw, almost aggressive tactics of foundational direct mail. Observe how those rules mutated when forced onto glowing screens, and then see how a modern campaign synthesizes both environments.
And to you listening right now, understanding these mechanisms is practically a superpower. Whether you are actively trying to sell a product yourself or you just want to navigate your own inbox without being easily manipulated, decoding these strategies gives you the upper hand.
So true. And the best place to start decoding is at the origin point of direct response, which Dr. Bullard's lecture anchors firmly in the physical mailbox. Unlike brand advertising, which is fundamentally about, planting a memory seed for some future purchasing decision, direct marketing is an immediate demand. It requires a measurable action right now.
So Dr. Bullard breaks down the anatomy of a classic direct mail package into these highly optimized components. You have the outer envelope, the sales letter, the order form, maybe a receipt stub, a reply envelope, all that stuff.
All working together.
Yeah, but the critical failure point, the absolute priority of the entire campaign, is the outer envelope itself. If that piece of paper fails to avoid the trash can, the rest of the package literally ceases to exist.
Right, it goes straight into the recycling bin.
Exactly. Marketers use customized shapes, special stamps, or teaser copy showing part of the contents just to get you to pause.
Because the envelope is not just packaging. It is the most critical piece of copy in the entire campaign. It functions as a behavioral trigger.
Which goes back to that sneaky trick I mentioned in the intro, disguising the mail to look like a check.
Yeah, printing paid to the order of right on the window. It is a brilliant, if slightly ruthless, tactic. Your brain registers the visual cue of financial gain, calculates the potential, and instantly drops your natural defenses against junk mail.
Like, it creates this cognitive dissonance, right? You know it is probably promotional, but you just can't ignore the fractional possibility of free money.
Exactly. That micro moment of arousal forces you to physically tear the paper.
But assuming that trick actually works and gets the consumer to open the package, the strategy has to shift immediately. I mean, you have their attention, but they are likely pretty annoyed they've been tricked.
Oh, absolutely. They are on high alert.
So Dr. Bullard provides these very rigid guidelines for the sales letter inside. You have to use proper letterhead, keep paragraphs short and indented so it doesn't look visually exhausting, use the word "you" constantly, and almost always include a postscript, a PS at the bottom, urging them to act now.
The postscript is actually a structural necessity. After scanning the headline, a reader's eye predictably drops to the bottom of the page to locate the catch, or the cost.
Oh, that makes sense. They want to see how much it is.
Right. So a strategically placed PS intercepts that exact visual journey.
Okay, but here's the statistic from Dr. Bullard's lecture that I really struggle to accept. He states that extensive testing consistently proves a two-page sales letter outperforms a single-page letter.
It is a surprising stat, I know.
Logically, that makes zero sense to me. If a consumer is already annoyed that they are reading junk mail, why would a consumer ever want to read more junk mail? How does increasing the word count increase the conversion rate?
It feels totally counterintuitive, right? But consider the psychological state of the reader post envelope. The trick got them over the threshold of friction. Once they have committed the physical effort to open the mail and read the first paragraph, the goal is cognitive immersion.
Immersion in junk mail.
Yeah, because a one-page letter feels transactional. It forces a decision prematurely. A two-page letter provides the real estate necessary to construct a narrative. It builds a stronger parasocial relationship and greater perceived value before the pitch.
Huh. So essentially, anyone who reads all the way to page 2 has self-selected as a highly qualified lead.
Exactly. They are primed for the call to action.
Okay, that makes perfect sense for a physical piece of paper held in a quiet kitchen. But the source materials pivot to what happens when we transition to a digital storefront.
The screen changes everything.
It really does. The slide deck outlines this shift, breaking web design down into 4 distinct stages.
Right. Let's walk through those. Stage 1 is research and planning. This is where you create the sitemap blueprint.
Just getting the architecture down.
Exactly. Then stage 2 is concepts, where the rule is keeping the most vital elements in the first view, meaning what you see before you scroll.
Above the fold, basically.
Yeah, above the fold. Stage 3 is refining the design. This involves writing in an inverted pyramid style, using highlighted keywords and bulleted lists.
And then stage 4 is production, where a programmer comes in and fixes all the tech issues.
That's the framework. But the really fascinating part of this slide deck is the primary internet writing rule it introduces.
Right. The rule is to use half as many words or less as you would with conventional print writing. And it also mentions banner ads, keeping them super simple, animating them 3 times and then stopping, and always ending with the logo.
Which is a huge shift in strategy.
Well, yeah, and this is where I noticed a glaring contradiction between our 2 sources. Wait, the direct mail rule is that 2-page letters are better than 1, but the internet rule is to cut your word count in half. How does that make sense?
It comes down to the environment. Physical mail requires building an immersive, standalone world for the reader. When you hold a letter, there are no hyperlinks flashing at you.
Right, it's just you and the paper.
But the internet is an active, distraction-filled hub. Users aren't reading, they are just skimming to click the next link. They are constantly evaluating whether the current page serves their immediate need better than the back button.
So you have to be fast.
Ruthlessly fast. The slide deck illustrates this perfectly with a case study called The Grant.
Oh, the condo brief. Yeah, this is an advertising brief for reasonably priced condos in Washington, D.C. They are located near mass transit and bars, which is great. The problem is the units are really small.
So how do you sell a tiny apartment?
Well, the primary target is young, first-time buyers making around $40,000 who currently live with roommates.
The targeting there is so surgical.
It is. The messaging strategy is just to remind this target of the problems of renting and having roommates. Keep the message simple, unexpected, and entice them to the website to schedule a visit.
They don't need a 2-page narrative about the architectural trim. They just need an ad that says, "Tired of your roommate's dirty dishes."
Exactly. It instantly isolates the demographic and prompts that frictionless click.
So we've seen the physical theories and the digital theories. Now let's look at how they are perfectly blended in a modern campaign.
Yes, the Integrated Marketing Communications, or IMC, campaign. This brings us to Jairo Cruz's MAR 630 assignment for a brand called Hacienda El Maguey.
This is a really robust project.
It is incredibly detailed. So Hacienda El Maguey is located in Pioneer Plantation, Florida, established way back in 1976.
And what are they selling?
They are selling nopal flower, which is prickly pear cactus powder. It's positioned as a natural superfood. It's high in fiber, supports digestion, helps blood sugar balance because it is naturally low glycemic.
That's great.
Yeah, it's rich in antioxidants, and it's gluten-free. But selling a totally new, functional ingredient like cactus powder is a massive hurdle.
Right, you are asking people to completely change their daily habits.
Exactly. And the campaign goals are ambitious. Jairo wants to increase brand awareness by 50% in 6 months, generate 5,000 monthly site visits, get the first 500 online sales, and build a dedicated community of 2,000 active followers.
To hit those numbers, your targeting has to be absolutely flawless.
And it is. He targets the wellness consumer, but it's this incredibly specific three-part overlap.
A Venn diagram, basically.
Exactly. Part 1 is health and function, so health-conscious adults aged 25 to 55. Part 2 is culture and heritage, specifically Hispanic consumers seeking traditional wellness tied to their heritage.
Okay, very specific.
And Part 3 is values and impact, meaning sustainable, organic, ethically minded shoppers.
That is a very narrow intersection.
It is. Finding the exact overlap of these three distinct demographics is like hitting the dead center of a very specific functional food dartboard. It is a far cry from the old spray and pray physical mailers.
And because the target is so specific, the messaging has to be incredibly consistent across the board. The core promise is, quote, natural wellness rooted in tradition, unquote.
With a tagline, rooted in tradition, powered by wellness.
Right, and the brand voice is authentic, educational, and trustworthy, using a visual palette of earth tones and cactus green.
But to reach this hyper-specific wellness consumer, a single banner ad animating 3 times just won't cut it. Gyro outlines this cohesive 3-channel strategy where every touchpoint relies on the others.
Let's break down those channels.
Sure. So channel 1 is social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. This is the primary awareness platform.
Right, top of the funnel.
Exactly. The content includes recipes, educational reels, demystifying fiber, farm-to-table storytelling, and customer testimonials.
And the aesthetics are very controlled, right?
Oh, totally. Natural lighting, warm, earthy tones, real-life moments. The audio utilizes upbeat, inspiring acoustic music mixed with nature sounds. They use hashtags like hashtag Nopal Flower, hashtag Rooted in Tradition, and hashtag Powered by Wellness.
So that handles the visual and auditory awareness. What is Channel 2?
Channel 2 is digital marketing, which Gyro calls the conversion engine. It moves from SEO and educational blogs to Google search ads, pushing users to a product landing page and closing the loop with email nurturing and retargeting.
A very sleek digital funnel.
It is. But then we hit Channel 3, which is print and community outreach.
Taking it into the physical world.
Yeah, establishing distribution hubs at farmers markets, Hispanic community events, health fairs, and wellness expos, using tactical materials like premium brochures and point-of-sale displays.
So, blending print back in.
Right, but I have to push back on this third channel. Isn't setting up physical booths at farmers markets incredibly slow and expensive compared to just, I don't know, buying more TikTok ads?
On paper, yes, it seems terribly inefficient.
Yeah.
But you have to remember what the product is. For a totally new functional food ingredient like cactus flower, you have to overcome the physical barrier of taste and texture.
Oh, right. A TikTok ad can't prove that cactus pancakes taste good.
Exactly. Direct product sampling at local events builds immediate trust and credibility that a digital video simply cannot replicate. You are resolving the specific sensory hesitation that the digital funnel just can't touch.
That makes a lot of sense. So how do all these distinct channels actually connect to make a sale? Gyro's channel integration strategy maps the exact journey of the consumer, showing how digital and physical marketing loop together.
Let's trace that actual path from scrolling to baking.
Okay, so the journey starts with awareness. The target sees an educational reel on Instagram.
They are visually hooked.
Right. This leads to interest, where they click through to the website landing page. Next is consideration. They capture the email, and the user receives a functional nutrition blog.
So they are in the digital nurturing sequence.
Exactly. Then comes trial. The consumer encounters a sampling booth at a local farmer's market.
The physical intervention.
Yep. This triggers purchase. They redeem an event coupon on the online store. Finally, advocacy. The customer posts their own Nopal flower recipe as user-generated content, which feeds right back into top-of-funnel social awareness.
It is a closed loop, and the strategic call-out in Gyro's evaluation is emphasizing active engagement and meaningful interactions over pure audience size. It's all about building a trusted brand.
You know, looking at this whole journey, there is a brilliant full-circle moment here.
Oh, what's that?
The way the physical farmer's market coupon is redeemed online on the digital store. That is the modern-day equivalent of the old direct mail receipt stub and order form that Dr. Bullard lectured about.
Oh, wow. You are completely right.
Right. The psychology hasn't changed at all, just the tools.
Hmm.
We are still using a physical piece of paper to prompt a measurable transaction.
It really is the exact same architecture. We went from tricking consumers into opening fake checks in the mail to seamlessly weaving a brand into a consumer's lifestyle across TikTok, email, and the local farmers market.
It's incredible to see the evolution. We covered a lot of ground today, from Dr. Bullard's strict rules on two-page letters and PS notes, to the slide deck's mandate to slash internet word counts, all the way to Hacienda El Maguey's masterclass in blending the physical and digital.
The underlying current through all of this is that the human brain responds to the same triggers, whether it's a window envelope or an Instagram reel.
Absolutely. And understanding how those triggers are pulled is just so valuable.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with a final thought to mull over.
Yep.
Think about the last product you bought from a brand you had never heard of before. Was it really just one lucky ad that convinced you? Or were you silently and carefully moved through an invisible multi-touch point funnel, just like Hacienda El Maguey's, without even realizing it?
Oh, that is a slightly terrifying thought.
Right. It begs the question, where are you currently sitting in someone else's marketing funnel right now?
Definitely something to evaluate the next time you find yourself clicking on a perfectly targeted ad or, opening a suspicious-looking envelope.